So this is for you if you're a business owner, and this video came as a result of talking to one of my sons who has recently spent the last 5 years working in a big corporate organization and has recently started a role working for a small family-run business. And when he got on the call with me and just talked about his new role and what he's doing, his question was, "Oh my God, Dad, are you dealing with small businesses with these problems all of the time?" And I said, "Yeah, that's my niche. I love helping small business owners. I love helping them make more money and have an easier life because that's what I've been doing for 35 years and I've kind of got quite good at it." And in this particular conversation that I want to have with you is I want to expand your knowledge of how you go about running your business so that you can bridge the gap between where you are now and where the success of big corporates are. And it came from this conversation when he said, well, I suppose big corporates have the budgets to be able to put in standard operating procedures and frameworks and the right people to enable that business to continue to grow. And I said, well, how do you think it got there in the first place? Once upon a time, it's probably started off as a small business. And in order to get to a big business, it had to put the frameworks in first. You can't imagine a big multi-billion pound company where the board of directors are sitting around the table going, oh, I think we should put some standard operating procedures. Maybe we need to put some instructions in to help our staff perform better. Maybe we need contracts of employment. I know what we need to do is we need to sort our bookkeeping out so that that's a little bit easier because it's a bit of a mess at the moment. Those conversations won't happen with big corporate businesses. They'll have different problems to deal with, and I don't want to paint the picture that they're all perfectly run because they're not. But the reality is that the small family-run business, the husband and wife type businesses that we deal with, we see every day the common challenges that they all have, the things that they're fighting with, rather than actually just making more money and having an easier life. And this framework that I'll run through with you, it gives you an indication as to what bits you might need to look at to make some immediate improvements, but I'm going to cover one specific element in a minute. This framework comes from a book we wrote called Rock Solid Growth. It is not new. None of this is like Kev's idea. This is my experience of spending 35 years working with clients, coaching, mentoring, and also being an accountant to learn from what they were telling me, learn about my big wide world of business and take bits of everybody else and just put it into a framework. And my goal is to say, well, this framework for running a business is similar to any framework that you'll find for different businesses. I just want to make it relatable to small business owners. I want to be able to have a conversation with you here to say, look, if this makes sense to you, then watch some of the other videos because I'll cover all of this over the whole of my YouTube channel in multiple ways. And if you've got a specific area that you think I need to go deeper on that to explain something, put it in the comments and I'll do a specific video to help you understand all of that. So the framework that we've got here starts off in the middle with your goals, your purpose. What are you doing? Why are you running your business? What's the end game here? Do you want to sell it? Do you want to make more money? Do you want it to be easier? There's a whole bunch of reasons, including quite often the ego of running a business. And I don't mean that in a negative way. I mean this feeling of building something that you're proud of. If you could build something you're proud of, maybe leave a legacy to your family or to the world, that's also a really great way to build a business. And quite a lot of business owners feel that way. I'm building it for my family to make an income, but I've got no real purpose to sell it. I just want to just build something. I want a team of people around me and I want to build something that I'm proud of. That's also a goal. But in amongst that, to get to that goal, these three circles, price, positioning and systems, are the three simple framework elements that we can say, look, if you've got a problem going on in your business, it's probably got something to do with a system problem, a weakness in a system somewhere, something to do with your pricing, a weakness in the pricing, or something to do with your positioning. And off of each of these items, we go into more detail, and each of the three things around the edge go into even more detail. So you can see that we can go off on a journey. And I'm just going to cover it quickly with you here, but pricing and positioning have got these elements around which affect things like the amount you charge, the quality and the value of the service or product you sell. And your positioning is to do with your outward projection, how you portray yourself to the outside world, rules and boundaries within your business, and what goes on up here, your internal thinking, your belief levels and things like that. So you can see there's a whole bunch of stuff goes on over there. Why do they interconnect with systems? Well, if you want to have good quality in your business, you probably need a system to ensure you maintain quality. If you want to have good pricing, you want to maintain that your prices are always a good price so that you're not losing money just through not charging enough. Simple as that. Where does that pricing, where does that quality, where does the value that the customer sees? Well, it ties back to systems, because your sales and marketing system drives the customers to a thing that says this is what we sell it for. That process, whether it be online or offline or in person or via letter or quotation or estimate or whatever, your sales and marketing process is obviously connected to the price, is obviously also connected to the quality and the perceived value from the customer. It's all in the marketing message. So marketing systems belong up there as well. So do your business systems. And I cover business systems, meaning all sorts of business systems, because you might need people to run that for you. Maybe you've got a team of people who are involved in delivering the service or looking after customers or selling the products or administration. Therefore, you need a system to ensure that your people are looked after. Make sure that they have got a process, everything from HR to health and safety, etc., etc. And obviously positioning comes into all of that because it affects our thinking, and rules and boundaries, which also come into systems, and how we portray ourselves, which again is a bit to do with marketing. So there's lots of things that go on that are interconnection. And today I want to cover the bit that I haven't talked about right now, which is the accounting system sitting over on the side here. And I'm just using my 35 years as running an accountancy practice to say, hey, I know what I'm talking about here. And the reason that I want to share this with you about this particular thing today is the accounting system isn't something that sits in isolation. Many people will say to themselves, well, I've got an accounting system. It's a piece of software sitting up in the cloud that does my books. Okay, and from that, I get my VAT return. And from that, I send it to my accountant, who sits there and does some accounts for me. And he or she does the work for me, and they produce these reports which I don't really understand, and they tell me what my tax bill is, and then they send stuff over to HMRC or also Companies House or the authorities. So that's the accountant's role, and really and truthfully, I don't want to know anything about that because I don't understand it. Cool, that's why the accountant exists, to be able to do some of that. They also might be involved in doing a VAT return. Great. So the books are doing that job of compliance. But here's what can also happen is the business owner will come along and go, God, I wish my accountant was more proactive. I wish my accountant would help me more. I wish my accountant would just find better ways to save my tax. Well, he or she is sitting there with a dilemma. The easiest way to save tax, don't earn the money in the first place. All right? Because if you don't earn the profits, you haven't got any tax to pay. That's the easiest way not to pay any tax. Don't earn any money, which is stupid, I know. But the accountant is doing his best to bring your tax bill down. But at the same time, you want to earn more money. And so if you're going to grow your sales and grow your profit, you are inevitably going to pay more tax. So this becomes a mindset problem. This becomes a thinking problem. And we find a lot of people grow their business to a level where they're paying decent amounts of tax, earning decent amounts of money, but the step up to the next level makes also the tax bill rise to the next level, because they might go to the higher rate bands. And at that point, the numbers are significant. They're ouchy when you write that check. Oh, I've got to pay this check. It's like, that hurts when you have to pay £50,000 to the government as a half yearly tax payment. That's a lot of money for anybody. And people will resist paying that by saying to the accountant, bring my tax down, bring my tax down. But actually what they're doing psychologically is bringing their thinking down about earning the money. So this is point number one of this exercise, is to say your relationship with your accountant and your tax bill is having a direct impact on your relationship with the results from your business. So if your goal is to earn more money, then your goal by definition has to be to pay more tax. In the 35 years, I've had multiple conversations, not just one, multiple conversations, where people have said to me, I want to earn £100,000 a year profit or more, but I don't want to be VAT registered. Well, that doesn't work. Generally, there are twists and turns around it that can be exempt from VAT, but generally that doesn't fit the mold. You can't earn lots of money and avoid paying VAT, just like you can't earn decent profits and have the nice cars and the nice houses and the holidays without paying decent amounts of tax bills. So we've got to change our thinking. So number one is we've got to change our thinking. The other part of it is as well, is how do we actually do this? Just switch over some coloured pens for no relevance at all. Is that inside these books, inside this software, there's essentially 4 ingredients. There's sales, there's purchases, there's money in, and there's money out. It's a very simplistic way of it, but whatever you look at, whatever document or information that you put into your accounting system will be one of those 4 things. It'll be some sort of sale, some sort of purchase, some sort of money in and some sort of money out, and that is it. It will come to you via bank account, cash account, credit card systems, PayPal, Stripe, Go Cardless, different types of sales, online, offline, etc., etc. All of that works. But what will happen with this is that these books in the cloud can now be connected to other sources of information. So you might have a website, and on the website is a shopping cart. I'll see if I can draw a picture of a shopping cart. Right, is a shopping cart, and that's generating sales invoices and maybe collecting money from automatic bank systems like a credit card system or whatever. Okay, that information can be fed into your bookkeeping automatically. You might be writing sales invoices out on a Word document, okay? Proper 1980s style. That's how we did it in the 1980s. Welcome to the 21st century. Instead of writing it on a Word document, get rid of that Word document and get access to the sales invoices inside your software and just put them straight into there. Because at that point, they've gone straight into the books without anybody making a mistake. Without having an invoice that says £380 and somebody typing it into the books as 830. That's just a typo. Okay? Avoid that by just putting it in there first. Collecting money. So from your bank, but also the way you collect money. So you've got your banking system can feed directly into your bookkeeping, but also you can collect money via things like Go Cardless and Stripe and PayPal and things like this. And all these platforms are set in such a way to automate that process. Let alone we've also got purchase invoices, which can be scanned in all sorts of various tools, etc., into some cloud-based system and fed into the system. So all the data for these 4 things, by and large, can be fed into your bookkeeping system with some sort of automation / mechanical process, limiting the amount of things that you have to write or type. And the gap between where it was and where it is today is that if I go back to when I started my career back in the 1980s, there were no computer systems. We had big ledgers, we had pens, calculators. My mum was a bookkeeper many years ago before that, and she didn't even have a calculator. She added up pages of numbers with her head. Total. Just added up these pages. That's what they were trained to do. Today, we're now taking a picture on our phone. It goes magically into the cloud, ends up in the books, and we shouldn't need to take any notice of it because it should happen. So the second part of this equation is understanding that you have tools available to you that can simplify all of this. Now, that in and of itself is maybe of value to you in the sense that you can realize that actually with a bit of time and effort and somebody to help you, you can get a process working. But here's the thing. Why is this important? Well, because from this, what we want to be able to do is produce a report of some sort. I'm not going to get all fancy with accounting terms. Basically, we've got data that's going into this box of tricks. It's no longer a box of tricks because in the old days, there used to be a black box on the corner of your desk called a computer terminal, and it would be stored in there somewhere on a disk, on a chip. But now it goes up in the cloud and it's on some other disk or chip. But the reality is that you're putting the data into this box, onto this chip, and you're putting lots of data. And if you've been in business for 10, 15, 20 years, how much data have you got for 10, 15, 20 years? Guess what? In my experience of working with thousands of businesses over 35 years, very few people run data for the last 10 years of their business. They just don't. I do. I'll look at some data because I'm looking for trends, I'm looking for patterns, I'm looking for signs, I'm looking for clues, because in that data rests a whole bunch of clues. And the clues link to all these other things. If your sales are not growing in accordance with your expectations, is it a sales and marketing problem? Is it a pricing problem? Is it a quality problem? Is it a value problem? Or is it something to do with positioning? I don't know, because I don't know your business. But I guarantee you that if you were to look at the trends and see that the trend isn't the line, if you just turned it into a graph, the graph isn't doing what you want it to do. It's not trending upwards in terms of sales and profitability. The accounting system will show you where the trend error is and show you what it actually is versus what you want it to be. And we then got to figure out which one of these things affect it. And sometimes it's all of the things. Sometimes you can't put your prices up because you don't believe you can put your prices up. You've got no mechanism and system for putting your prices up, and your marketing is weak. And therefore your price has been set at the same level for the last 5 years. And actually, whilst the sales are stable, profitability is going down because inflation is creeping up on you and it's now stealing your profits. You're saving some tax because you're earning less. But you, as a business owner, are taking home less. You're working for less. And the sad thing, and I don't want to dwell on this too much but it is reality. There are way too many business owners working hard, and I mean hard, long hours, long days, thinking about it all the time, working at it, but earning less than minimum wage sometimes, because they're working so hard at trying to generate sales and do the work, but they don't have the time or the capacity or the knowledge or the support system to step away and actually fix some of these things. When clients come to us and we help them do that, if they're a willing volunteer and they say, yes, show us what to do, and then they do it, it's transformational. We take businesses that are doing okay to doing really okay, to the point where they have a tax bill and they struggle with their tax bill. They struggle with the mental shift to pay from paying £10,000 a year to £100,000 a year. That is a massive shift in paying taxes. But imagine if you had £100,000 a year tax bill. What would your profits be like? What would your income be like? What would your lifestyle be like? How would you think about it? So your accounting system is there to give you the data. But what can often happen is that your accounting data, when you look at it, and you look in on your accounting data, you go, that doesn't look right. Not sure about that. Why doesn't that feel right? And that's a valid way of looking at it. And if looking at that data, I realise I've just come off camera there, so that's where I was. If looking at that data doesn't feel right, it could be because it's not right. And this is where your accountant or your bookkeeper might need to step up and ensure that that data is actually correct and balanced. And the way they do that is with regular reconciliations, checks, and making sure the process is done. Again, I see this a lot. Somebody's running their business, they've got a bookkeeper that comes in part-time to do the books. Bookkeeper comes in for a morning, sits down, wrestles with the computer and says, yeah, I'm done that today. I've got enough to run the VAT return. And generally speaking, we run the VAT return. But the VAT return is only run once a quarter. So between those reports, the data that's gone into the system is either incomplete, they've only done half the job, or has not been adjusted to match your business. And those adjustments are the things that are important to you. They may be things like stock adjustments, depreciation adjustments. They may be little presentation adjustments in the data. The system may have been set up with the standard default account codes. Great, but now you're running a report and one or two of them don't make sense, but they're skewing the figures. When you look at the figures, maybe you want to run, here's the classic the accountants run, here is a graph of your profit, Oh, you made a great big loss in month 12. right? Because in month 12, the accountant puts all his annual adjustments through, all the journals all go through in 1 month. And so your report is now nonsense because of that big change. And it's all in month 12. It skews the whole graph. It's not very good. So sometimes we have to sort of extract that out for the purposes of management. And we've got to understand that so that we can get to a point and say, look, I'm working hard every day, and I have been doing this for the last couple of years, and this is the true data. This is my sales. This is my cost to produce those sales. This is my true overheads. Take out all the me stuff. Take out my pension, my personal salary, my dividends, depreciation. I don't understand depreciation. Take it out then, right? Just get yourself to a trading profit that's sales and costs and overheads profit that you understand. And that can be run from your own system. And run that for a period of time and put a graph to it and say, this is my sales line, this is my cost line, this is my profit line. And if that doesn't still look good enough in your eyes, then what do you want it to look like? And simply extend it. Just say, well, okay, I can't do anything about the past. I'm here, draw a line at the end of this month and go, right, that's it. This time next year, I want that graph to go up. What's it got to go up by? Well, last year my sales were 1.2 million. I'd like next year, I think and believe I can get them to 2. Great. What does 2 million look like? What does the costs to support 2 million look like? What systems do you have to put in place? What marketing do you have to do? What pricing strategy do you have? What do you have to change in how you deliver your products and services to your customers? What thinking has to change? What belief levels? Is that going to give you really the goals and dreams that you want? Or are you going to have instead of where you are now, you're going to have a £2 million business that's full of problems? We've got to eliminate the problems along the way so that the growth happens. Your mission, if you are actually motivated by growing your business and making more money and have an easier life, is to basically turn this entire thing into a machine that you just crank the handle nice and easily, crank the handle. The business runs, it finds new customers, it delivers a service, it gets recommended for more, you do more marketing, and it just runs. It brings money in, it pays its bills, there's plenty left over for you and your family. Your tax bill is going up and up and up and up. Your accountant is now called in to say, do you know what? We've got a tax problem. I can save you a big bunch of tax if we restructure the business, if we divert some money here, if we do something here. All legitimate stuff can be done. Most accountants are not performing because the business owner isn't giving them the problems to perform with. We can save an awful lot of tax as an accountant if you bring us a big pile of profit. Big profits mean we can save much more tax with different strategies. But if you're running around at the dirt, struggling to make even the same money you made last year, the only thing we can say to you is, well, let's see if we can claim all your personal expenses. Let's see if we can put through the Christmas party once a year, because that'll save you a bit of tax. Don't get me wrong, they're all important. And there's millions of people on YouTube showing you how to do all that sort of stuff. But in order for you to actually achieve your goals and dreams, probably you've got to get used to paying a lot more tax and a lot more for your accountancy services to get you to that level. But it starts with being able to pull the data out for yourself. I hope that was of interest to you. I'm only expecting a very small percentage of people to arrive at this point, because just the mere subject of accounts and tax makes people tune out. It really does. I've been doing this for 35 years. I know the form by now. However, if you've got a comment, leave it below. It helps me because I can see what you're asking. If you've got a question, leave it below, and I'll see if I can do some more videos like this to see if I can help you make more money, have an easier life. See you soon.